In this video, we want to focus on advanced user authentication with the Next.js full-stack development, with role-based access control and API-protected routes. One of the most necessary parts of every web application is user authentication. You should know who is interacting with your app, while each user group have their own permissions. Like admins have full control over system, for example, can control users and financial terms, and this information should not be available for normal users. Hi, my name is Mehmet and welcome to my YouTube channel. The tech stack and NPM packages in this project includes Next.js, Tailwind CSS, Mongoose, Bcrypt, JSON Web Token, Cookies Next, Auth, and Axios. Let's get our hands dirty and start with project setup. In Google, search for Next.js Tailwind CSS, then click on the first result. You see the instruction for setting up your Next.js project from Tailwind official documentation. Open up your code editor, VS Code for Mine, and open a new terminal. Write npx create next app at latest version. Name the project RBAC. And use all default settings. Locate the project folder using cd command, and then use npm to install Mongoose, Bcrypt, JSON Web Token, Cookies Next, Auth, and Axios. Now by using npx command, install Tailwind CSS with PostCSS. Now it's time for database connection. In Google, search for MongoDB Atlas login. Click on this result and you will see this page. Use any of these options to sign in into the Atlas. I use Google account for authentication. After getting done the authentication process, you will see a page like this. Click on create a cluster, select free plan, and select any region you want. Then click on the create. On this page, select drivers and choose Mongoose. The connection string should get appeared on this section after creation of cluster. Wait 1 minute or 2 until this process gets done. After a while, you see the string in here. Copy that text. Create.env file in root folder of project and define a new variable mongo_URI. And paste acquired connection string you copied from Atlas, and we're done. Now we need another variable, JWT Secret. We use this hash code to encrypt user passwords into the database to ensure the security of user accounts. Open a new terminal, and by using this command, we generate some random string with 64 characters of length. Paste generated string to JWT Secret string. Now let's start creating a sample page for our index page. First, delete default page.tsx from app directory and then create a new directory pages and a new file index.js. In here, we create a simple index page, consists of 4 links to login page, register page, user dashboard, and admin dashboard. And we will create all these pages on continue. Okay, let's get back and continue the setup of database connections and models. Create a directory and name it models. And then create a new file user.js. In this file, we want to create database model of users. Import mongoose from mongoose, constant user schema, new mongoose.schema, define name with type of string, and set required true. Also email with same string type, unique true. By adding this unique true into email, we make sure that user with one email not going to register twice, and require true. Then password, string type, and require true. And finally, the role of this user, type string. We define two users in our system, user and admin. And the default value is user. This means that we have two user roles in our system, user and admin, and on a new sign up, the default role is user. Export default mongoose.models.user or mongoose.model user and user schema. Now create another directory utils and a new file db.js. In this file, we are going to code the way our app should make a connection to our MongoDB database server. Import mongoose from mongoose, constant mongo URI, process.env.mongo URI. By this line, we process.env file we created before, and we get the string value mongo URI in .env file and put the value into this constant. Using this if statement, we check that if mongo URI is exists in .env file. Let cached global.mongoose, and if not cached, cached equals global.mongoose. Async function dbconnect. If cache.con, return cache.con. If not cache.promise, cache.promise equals mongoose.connect mongo URI. Then put mongoose into mongoose. Then write export default dbconnect. Okay, under the pages directory, create another and name it API. Then create a new file register.js. In this file, we are going to code the API of our user registration. Import user from models user. Import bcrypt from bcrypt. Export default async function handler. Rake and res. If rake.method equals post, establish connection to our database. Let's define constant username, email, and password, and assign the value from request body. Try catch method. In try, let's check if the email is already registered or not. Constant existing user, await user.find1 email. By this line of code, we tell database to find and return any user in database that the email address is the same as we want in this request. The reason of using this if statement is to check if the user with this email address exists. It means that this new sign up should not be processed and return an error with email already registered. And otherwise continue the code. Constant hashed password, await bcrypt.hash password, and then let's save this new user to database. Constant new user equals new user, name equals username, email, and password equals hash password. Await new user.save. And then send HTML status code 201 with JSON message user registered successfully. And then for catch, write this line of code res.status 500.json and throw the error message as error. Now create a file one level upper than API folder register.js. In this file, we want to create the front end of our register page and use register API routes created in last step. First, import use state from React, use router from Next router, Axios from Axios, link from Next link, and then import the global.css And finally, image component from next image. Export default function register and define our variables using useState hook. Constant username and set username, constant email and set email, constant password, set password, constant error and set error, constant router, use router. Then define the constant handle register function with async type. e.prevent default. Then write a try catch method. In try, constant response await axios.post with this route, and send username, email, password as params. In case of success, throw an alert to user, registration successful, you can now log in, and then router.push/login. By writing this line of code, the user will be redirected to login page. And in case of any error happens, let's complete this catch method, set error with these details. We're done with handle register. Write return parentheses. In here we use HTML-like codes and Tailwind CSS to style our front end. Div class name grad calls 5, bg white, min h screen, call span 2, bg gray 50, another nested div mx margin x 24 and margin type 12, and one another nested div text gray 800, text base, font sans, font lie, and margin y8, mamad.codes. Let's see the result by opening browser. We have error in line 5. Let's check in VS Code. Yeah, it should be globals. Add an S on this section and it's done. Now let's continue coding of the UI. Write another div class name, text gray 700, text 3XL, font sans, font semi-bold, margin y12. Create accounts. And then write this piece of code to show any possible error on the UI with color of red. then form, write form, and we will complete this section on later. Close all divs. Open a new div at this section, class name, call span3, relative, width full, height full, overflow hidden, with rounded on the left 3 XL. Add an image component, source slash image.jpg, alt text, example image, layout fill, object fit cover, object position center. And let's see the result on browser. Image has not been loaded because image is missing. I use ChatGPT DALL-E to generate image for this section. Feel free to use any image you want. And let's put this image file into the public folder with name image.jpg. Refresh the page and the image shows up. Now let's finish form section. Write on submit handle register. Handle register is the function we create in the first lines of our code. And class name space y4. Open a div, create label, class name block, text gray 700, font extra light, font serif, py2 and px1. This is the label for our username input in this form. Then write input. Type of this input is text. Value equals username. Unchange enumerate equals set username. e.target.value. Class name width full, padding x3 and padding y2, border rounded full, text gray 600. Copy paste input section 2 more times, and we should have 3 input section for sign up. Username, email, and the password. Let's see the results. Now let's add a button, register, and on user click, on submit function gets fired. Div class name border b2. And div class name text gray 500. text center, font thin, and padding tab 4. Have an account, login, and add a link for this login word. And let's test if sign up a new user works fine. We're done with register part, and now let's create login. Create a new file under API directory. Import connect Mongo from utils db. Import user model from models user. Import set cookie from cookies next. JWT from JSON Web Token. And bcrypt. Export default async function handler rec and res. If rec.method equals post, await connect Mongo, constant email password, rec.body. Then try catch method. Check if the user exists. Const user await user dot find one email. By writing this line of code, we tell database to search in user tables and look for a user that email address is the same on this request. Use an if statement to check whether the user exists or not. If not user, return rest of the status 404.json. Now let's compare the password with hash password. Const is password valid. Await bcrypt.compare password and user.password. By writing this line of code, we use the compare function from bcrypt to compare the password from this API request with password from the user on the database. And with this if statement, let's check if those two passwords are the same, and otherwise throw an error. Now we have to generate a JWT token to save into the client web browser. Constant token JWT.sign. User ID equals user._ID and username user.username. Then process.env.jwt secret and expires in 1 hour. Then call setCookie function and save token as token. And this cookie is valid for rec, res, and HTTP only true, same site strict, which prevents CSRF attacks, and max age 60 into 60 equals 1 hour, and path route. And this line of code make this cookie available for all routes of our API and our website. And then restart status 200.json with token and the message of success. And then on the catch method, we send any possible error from this API. And then write this function in case requested method was not post method. Now it's time for login page frontend. The page is same as front end of register app but with minor changes. So in one level upper than API folder, just copy register.js and rename it to login. Open this login.js, change function name to login, delete this variable as we don't need that, and change handler function name. In handler function, change the API route from register to login and delete username param. Change router, push to index, and after a successful login, user will get redirected to index page. Let's go into the browser and error. I forgot to change function inform on submit. It's done. Let me open MongoDB Compass to take a look into the user tables. I want to use these credentials to log in. Login password. Hit the login and it's done. Under utils folder, create a new file auth.js. Import JWT from JSON Web Token. Export function verify token with token param as input. Try catch method. Return JWT.verify token and process.env.JWT secret. And for catch throw an error. Using this function, we call JWT function to compare and verify received token from browser using JWT Secret code. Create a directory middleware and a new file, auth middleware. Import dbconnect from utils db. User from models user. And verify token from utils auth. Create an export constant with auth equals handler and required roles. Return async rec and res. Await dbconnect. If rec.headers.cookie not available, we have to return a message with a status code of 403. Forbidden insufficient permission, and if this cookie exists, continue to the code. Constant token equals rec.headers.cookie.split with equals in string 1. By writing this line of code, we get JWT token from cookies, and by using .split function, we extract the cookie value. Constant decoded equals verify token and token as prom. By writing this line of code, we verify the received JWT token and constant user ID decoded.user ID. Const user equals await user.find by user ID. If user ID not exist, we have to throw an error. And if user not exists, also we have to throw another error. And if the user and user ID exist, but the user role is not met for accessing the API, so we have to throw an error with message forbidden insufficient permission. And then return handler. Now it's time to use all the works done in last steps to create our secured API route. Under Pages, API directory, create a new file dashboard.js. We write a simple API route at this section, and we assume that it is an admin panel and it should only accessible by the admin role. Any API route can be protected by our middleware using these two lines. First, import the Auth component, then use this middleware at export section of API, and boom. The API is protected by our authentication system, and only users with desired roles can access the API. One level upper, create a file dashboard.js. And we want to create a simple Next.js page to fetch protected API in last step. I made a mistake in here, correct it to the catch in your code. Error happened because we missed export function at the end of code. Add this line in end of your code. And it's done. Page showed welcome message as expected. Now let's change the required role in API for accessing this page to only admin. Save and reload. And now we face forbidden message. Let me go to database and change the user role to admin. And now it works, and we have access to this dashboard panel. So we built a complete role-based access control system in Next.js. Now users can log in, and their roles determine what they can access. We use MongoDB for user management, protected API routes, and even secured our front-end pages. Let me know in the comments what features you'd like to see next. If you found this helpful, smash the like button, subscribe for more full stack content, and I'll see you in the next one.